My name is Matt Heater, and today I want to talk about an analysis that I did in my English 250 class on the story Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. More specifically, I want to talk about isolation and the effects of isolation on Victor and also the monster in the story. So isolation, what it is, according to dictionary.com, it's the complete separation from others or quarantine. This is shown a lot throughout the story by Shelley. Mainly she starts off showing it with the character Victor. She starts off showing it early with the death of his mother. He's 17 years old when his mother dies, so instantly he's isolated from many people because his father was not around when he was born either. He reacts differently to the isolation than most people would. He has a different reaction to it it seems like he doesn't really get that upset about it, and it's like something that everyone has to deal with. He says a quote here, "Yet from whom has not that rude hand rent away some dear connection? Why should I describe a sorrow which all have felt and must feel?" So basically he's saying that when God takes someone away from them, it's like a natural thing, and why should he worry about it or get upset about it because it's a natural thing, which at 17 years old is kind of different for most people. So more on Victor's isolation. He starts off isolated, but throughout the story he gets a family, he has a wife and kids, so he starts to move away from isolation. But then later on in the story he goes to a university to study sciences, and he isolates himself because he leaves for several years. When he gets there, he doesn't return any letters from anyone, doesn't talk to anyone. He says in this quote, "I've become so absorbed in the idea of creating life that he loses all connection with everyone around him. His friends that are at the university, he doesn't talk to them either." Also with the letters from home, he says, "Feelings which made me neglect the scenes around me also caused me to lose those friends who were so many miles absent, who I have not seen in so long." Like I said again, he rejects the letters that his family sends him, all his friends, so he's basically bringing isolation upon himself. Now onto the monster's isolation. Victor creates the monster as kind of like a science project. He plays God basically at this university, learning how to create life. Once he's created by Victor, the monster's instantly abandoned by Victor. He gives him life and then just sends him out. So he kind of has the same kind of situation that Victor did early on. He's isolated. The monster also says, "I am alone. Man will not associate with me, man will not associate with a man as deformed and horrible as myself. I would be denied by everyone." So basically he knows that how Victor created him is not going to be very appealing to other people, so he's instantly isolated by that. The comparison of the reactions between Victor and the monster are similar at some points and also different. They both start off isolated from each other, and then they get family, which the monster finds himself a family when he goes away after Victor creates him. He finds a family in the woods of cottagers, and he begins to spy on them, and so he can feel more like he has a home. So they both then start to move away from isolation by gaining a family. At the end of the story, however, Victor he was isolated himself from people, but at the end he realizes how much he misses his family and tries to get them back. The monster, at the end of the story, he orders Victor to create him a companion after he finds him again. So both of them at the end of the story are looking for family and moving away from isolation. So how they compare, like I said, they both have the same sort of flow of isolation. They first start off isolated and then they move closer back to not being isolated and finding family. The effects of the isolation are shown in the story on a more dramatic scale, but there's a lot of anger that is shown in the story, and also hatred when you lose friends and family. When the monster orders Victor to create him a companion, Victor does not comply with it, and the monster gets very angry and actually kills Victor's wife, which shows you how the effects of isolation can be very bad. This is my works cited, and that's my presentation. Thank you.